Hello aviators, I am commencing a series of presentations on how to plan your flight in the Indian commercial aviation environment. This should be of good use for first-time pilots who have received their commercial pilot license and are in a position to commence commercial flight operations. It will also serve as a refresher for the seasoned flight crew who have been on ground for some time due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, without wasting any more time, let us get on with it. Today's session will cover general points, pre-flight procedures, especially under the effect of COVID-19, setting up the flight, and the ground maneuvering phase. Commercial flight operations in India are a bit different from other parts of the world. Those of you who acquired your commercial pilot license from foreign shores will find that it takes a while and requires some reorientation to cope up with the nuances of planning a flight in India. Those working with scheduled airlines and large operators will have a department within your organization which takes care of filing the flight plans, providing dispatch documents, and arranging your pre-flight medical examination. This comes as a big bonus because if you need to do it yourself, it requires an additional couple of hours every day. There are three very important things which have to be kept in mind every time you are flying: your physical fitness, adequate rest and mental relaxation, and updated aviation knowledge and flight deck procedures. It is an accepted fact that the world will never be the same post-COVID-19 pandemic. The new normal will be social distancing, emphasis on hygiene and cleanliness, extra care by wearing protective equipment, maintaining separation between passengers and crew, and within the flight deck. In all cases, change will be necessary to prevent collateral spread, for example, by not sharing meals. Remaining medically fit becomes so much more important because any sign of mild discomfort like cough, cold, running nose, or even a rise in your body temperature will be taken very seriously and may lead to mandatory quarantine and additional medical tests. Second, adequate rest and mental relaxation is equally important. Not being at your best in the flight deck may lead to reduced awareness and delayed response, especially in times of non-normal situations. Remember, it is solely your responsibility to ensure that the privileges of your pilot's license are not at risk due to lapses caused by fatigue, sleep deprivation, effects of alcohol, or other substance abuse. These instances will always be considered your fault and impact the privileges of your license. Third, being updated in your aviation knowledge and flight deck procedures will hold you in good stead during operations, especially after a prolonged break. Procedures and practices which were second nature and ingrained as muscle memory while you were regularly flying may have receded or erased from the subconscious during this long break. It will take effort through revision and practice before you are again fluent and comfortable in the flight deck. And it will be a good idea to pick up your diary, SOPs, training manuals, and revise your checklists, procedures, device mnemonics, and the applicable rules and regulations. Also remember, domestic commercial operations were stopped in end March during the fair weather period. Now when we recommence operations, the pre-monsoon season is upon us, and it would be a good idea to relearn the related weather phenomena. It is always a good idea to prepare for your flight a day before. Once you get your schedule, look up the Jepson charts to collate information about the departure, arrival, and alternate airfields. Next, get an idea of the weather forecast for these airfields as well as en route. There are several weather apps available which forecast weather quite accurately. You will receive a comprehensive weather briefing once you report to dispatch, but prior preparation will save you both time and effort. Prior preparation will also make your life comfortable in the flight deck and ensure that you are off to a running start with no CRM issues, especially with the strict or finicky type of pilots in command. It will also ensure that the time you spend on the ground is kept to the minimum. To be on time for the pre-flight activities, ensure you leave your residence in time, catering for traffic, parking, etc. Most airlines expect you to be at the dispatch between 45 minutes and 1 hour before the departure of the flight. The first item on the agenda is to get the medical checkup and BA check done. Due to COVID-19, this may be deferred for the time being. Next, you will proceed to flight dispatch, receive your documents, go over the essentials, especially any changes to the published schedule, as well as the latest weather reports, followed by a quick briefing by the PIC, and then all of you will have to negotiate at least 2 layers of security to proceed to the aircraft. Once in the flight deck, you would obtain the latest DHS information or the latest METAR and airfield information on the tower frequency. You would now be able to contact delivery, ground or tower as applicable to obtain departure instructions. Not only is this information necessary to set up your FMS, it also slots you into the waiting line for startup clearance, an essential requirement on a busy airfield. A delayed clearance may add to your time spent on the ground, causing costly delays. It is also a good idea to revise the various radio frequencies beforehand and have a small aid memoir by your side. If you operate out of small or medium aerodromes, the departure instructions are usually straightforward and it takes between 5 to 10 minutes to reach a departure point. However, working out of larger airports like Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai or Mumbai, you will find that there is a large amount of ground traffic. If you are not on the ball and delay getting into the sequence, you will spend upwards of a half hour before you even get a chance to fire up your engines and taxi out. Also, on bigger aerodromes with multiple terminals and parking aprons utilizing the same runway, taxi procedures are complicated and require reference to published charts. Prior revision of the applicable charts is essential. You must have the applicable ground maneuvering and apron charts at hand so that you know exactly what is to be done once you get the taxi instructions. This will also ensure that you do not waste time looking for them once the aircraft moves off the chocks. Particular attention must be paid to the hotspots identified on these charts. These taxi instructions will guide you to proceed from your parking bay to the holding point of the designated runway in use. You must be aware and conversant with all ground markings and designators to ensure that you follow the correct path on ground and do not overshoot any turning point or holding point. Remember, an incursion will lead to a mandatory investigation and a likely suspension of your license. Reaching the runway for departure marks the end of the ground maneuvering phase and will be followed by the departure phase. We shall discuss this in the next episode. Until then,